Wait a minute, I hear something.
Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Blueberry News! Dr. Movie! Dr. Movie! Yeah!
Hey, everybody, you know what time it is. It's Dr. Movie time. Welcome back to the show. Got a crazy one for you here. And I've got a little bit of a story that goes with it too. And I've never really watched this one. I've kind of skimmed through it before, or scanned through it. Not skimmed through it, but kind of scanned through this movie before because the copy I had was incredibly low budget. We are talking about a Spanish film called The Werewolf versus the Vampire Women. It's a battle of the ages, folks. And the story behind this one is, I used to work with a guy. Of course, obviously, people know that I like horror movies, and you know, this guy, I don't know, went to a dollar store or something like that and found this movie and brought me a copy of it. And, you know, lo and behold, I couldn't help but cackle because I'd never heard of it before, but Werewolf versus the Vampire Women. I was like, okay, this falls in line with, you know, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, all those kind of things, right? And while watching it this time, you know, and doing just a little research, not a whole bunch, you know, this is pretty cool, actually. It feels like a Hammer film, right? So this thing came out in 1971, and it's like the Spanish version of a Hammer film. That's really what it feels like. Very much so. And let's go ahead and talk about this. I did watch this on Tubi, and it's not the best copy. So I'll recommend, if you want to check this one out, I would look it up on YouTube, find a better quality one. Matter of fact, I would probably even watch the Spanish language one with subtitles, because it just seems like the impact of the things that happen are better than translating it all to English and, you know, making it weaker. But it says, while searching the countryside for the grave of supposed vampire Countess Wandisa Darvula, whatever, students Genevieve and Elvira meet an anarchical local named Daninsky. I don't remember ever being called Daninsky in the movie, who offers help for them to look. Not knowing that he's a werewolf, they accept his leads. He leads them to the tombs where they accidentally revive a sleeping vampire. She attacks, and Daninsky and Elvira cooperate in trying to stop falling in love in the process. Well, yeah, obviously, that's got to happen, right? So that's a pretty good synopsis, I guess. We talk about our cast. We got Paul Naschy in this, right? So that's what this movie is known for, because he is like the Spanish version of, from what I read, he's like their answer to Lon Chaney, and even like Christopher Lee. So you're looking at this Spanish horror icon that plays all these different characters, mostly known for the werewolf stuff, which I have to admit, not bad. He does look like your atypical werewolf from, you know, like the Wolfman. So he's not really, in my classification, a werewolf. He's a wolfman. And, you know, super snarly teeth, you know, blood running down the face, that kind of thing. So, yeah, Paul Naschy plays Waldemar Daninsky, I guess was his name. We got Barbara Capel in this. Capel, I guess, maybe. Sorry, I'm trying to drive here. Who plays Genevieve. Patty Shepard, who is Countess Wonderpuss, or whatever the character's name is, the main vampiress. Then we got Gabby Fuchs playing Elvira. That's pretty much the main people you need to know about in this movie. So yeah, we get a couple of ladies that are traveling the countryside. They're interested in the history of this vampiress, right? And they run into what was his name? Wanapus? I didn't forget his name. Waldemir. Yeah, it's Waldemir and Countess Wanda something. Too many names that are too much the same here. But they run into Waldemir and he's like, oh yeah, I know a bit about it. And really, actually the movie starts off where this guy's being brought into a hospital and he's dead, and supposedly he's a werewolf. Now, my understanding is, and I may be wrong with this, that this is a follow-up, a sequel to another werewolf movie where he actually gets shot and killed, supposedly. And in this movie, they pull the Michael Myers on him, right? They take him to the hospital, and, you know, then he comes back alive. So, same thing here. The doctors are like, there's no way that I don't believe in all that mumbo-jumbo about vampires. So, they cut the bullets out, which is really easy to do for these guys. These bullets must not have gone very far, because it's just like, almost like you just take a regular pair of tweezers and just pull them out. But yeah, obviously he comes back, and guess what? He's a werewolf. And but he's trying to live this so-called normal life too, and these ladies are looking for a place to stay. He tells them that they're welcome to stay there, only to find out that, I mean, one of them, you know, Elvira's a little creeped out by him, but at the same time, Waldemir is his heart's on fire for Elvira. Giddy up, boom, bop, boom, bop, mow, mow. My heart's on fire for Elvira. So there you go. That's where the song came from. It's about Waldemir here. Not really. Hope you don't believe that. Yeah, he's kind of falling for her. She's kind of feeling something for him, and then Genevieve is like, I don't know. She's the hot one, and she's like, nah, I don't trust the guy. Actually, no, she's not worried about him at all. It's Elvira that's a little freaked out about the whole situation, because you're standing in this weird place you're not used to. And while they're sleeping, Elvira gets woke up by this strange lady that's standing in front of her, who's just whacked out, right? Well, it ends up being Waldemir's sister, who should be locked up, but she's not. He's going to try to take care of her. But, you know, under the circumstances, you'd understand why she's a little wacko, because her brother's a werewolf. Hey, that should be a name for a movie. The Howling 2, Your Brother's a Werewolf. And, so, you know, later on you find out that she's there because when he has his fits, when there's a full moon, she locks him up downstairs, puts him in shackles, and, you know, tries to take care of him. But, you know, he's able to break free and you know, go wreak havoc. So Elvira one night goes downstairs and sees these shackles and sees the blood on the wall, and she's like, oh no, they capture people and bring them down here and torture them. And so she's all freaked out about that too, which who wouldn't be, right? And as this goes on, there's a double MacGuffin here, right? Because you got the girls that are wanting to find the tomb of this vampiress, vampire queen, whatever you want to call it. And at the same time, Waldemir is wanting to find her grave, because there's a silver cross in there that's a dagger that is supposed to be his demise, right? So he's playing the tortured character very well. And he knows his time is limited, but this is the thing that's going to do it. And and keep him dead, right? And also, as things go along, well, what happens is they go out and they find the tomb. It's actually Waldemar and his sister, and his sister gets cut when they open the grave, and blood drips into the skeleton's mouth of the vampiress, and guess what? It brings her back. Just like a hammer flick, right? And she comes back, and she finds Genevieve, bites her, she becomes a vampire, and she's trying to get to Elvira. Elvira keeps having these nightmares of them coming in and biting her neck and turning her into one, but it never really happens. It's just dreams. And then you get, Waldemar is trying to get Elvira to leave and go away while he takes care of this problem. And she gets picked up by this hitchhiker, and he starts making the moves on her. She finally gets away from him. Actually, they get stopped on the side of the road by these vampires. These lady vampires, vampire women that show up. And she whips out the cross. She's got the cross with her, and it runs them off. Which, the other thing, too, is all these vampires are in slow motion, right? Which I read was possibly an influence to a set of Spanish movies that I absolutely love, which is the Blind Dead movies. And so supposedly this was an influence that Paul Nash even recommended they do it this way, just because it gives it a feel, right? An aura about the vampires. And it does. It works. It works really good. Obviously, you see it and you know what they're doing, but it works. And there's even a scene where this skeletal, shrouded figure attacks somebody too, which again ties right back into the Blind Dead thing. So who knows? It's speculated that that's where this whole idea came from for the Blind Dead. Don't really know for sure, but somebody wrote it, so there you go. But yeah, you get a situation where Waldemar's sister gets killed, and he has to bury her. I mean, she's obviously going to turn into a vampire, so he takes her out graveside, puts a stake through her heart, chops her head off, which I have to admit, I mean, even though you know it's a dummy, you see actual contact of this axe cutting the head off, and I was really impressed that for this time period you actually see this. So one up for the Spaniards on that, because that's pretty awesome. And he buries his sister and says now she'll rest, but then he's gearing up for the big showdown, and obviously he has to take care of Genevieve because she's a vampire, takes care of that. And then you get where this inspector shows up that's trying to find the girls, and she's kind of his way, or Elvira's way out, or he is her way out. So Waldemar is like, look, this inspector's here, you need to go with him, and that way you'll be safe, and I'll take care of what I need to take care of. Well, they get kidnapped by the vampiress, right? And she's got them shackled to a wall in her lair, wherever she's hiding out. The Knight's Tomb, I think is what they call it. There you go, tying back into the Blind Dead thing. And then guess what? Waldemar shows up, and he's ready to throw down. And this is where we get the big fight scene, which is all of, 30 seconds long. So, being that it's called Werewolf versus the Vampire Women, there's not a lot of that really happens. But, it happens, just very, very briefly. I mean, it's not much of a fight. I'm like, wow, they brought her back from the dead for her to die really easy from a werewolf. Which, he's got a problem too, because he's running around and he's biting people and stuff. Now, some of these people deserve it, right? Because that hitchhiker guy comes back and tries to kidnap her one night, and Waldemar turns into a werewolf and takes care of business. So there is plenty of things that happen in this movie that kind of makes it move pretty well. But as far as the big fight, the big showdown in Tokyo, it's not much, but it's there. It's there. So, what do I think about this one? It's okay. I give it a don't know, maybe a 3 out of 5. You know, I don't know that I'll really revisit it. The copy on Tubi is really hard to see. It's an old, grainy, 4x3 format. It's so dark. You can't really see a lot of stuff that happens in the darker scenes. So, like I said, if you go to YouTube and look up, you can find the trailer for this that's been done in HD. And there is versions of this movie on there that's in Spanish that look a whole lot better. So I recommend watching it that way. But, if you just want to check it out, it is on Tubi for free. It's on YouTube for free, too. But, I don't know. It really gives me the Hammer vibe, right? And that can't be a bad thing, right? And I have grown to appreciate Paul Naschy here. I mean, I know they've got a box set, or I don't know if it's a box set, but they've got a collection of a lot of his movies that I think it's Shout Factory, I think, put it out. So it's kind of got me intrigued to wanting to check the rest of these out. I mean, obviously I like the Spanish stuff, the Blind Dead stuff I love. And watching this one for real and noticing that if you can get a good copy of this, it's a pretty decent flick. So, yeah, I think I want to check the rest of them out. And you should too. All right, folks, that's it for this one. We will check you later.